Welcome back to Around the Table with Stacy Smith as we take a look at the political scene. We talked about Republicans in Congress. Now let's talk about some presidential politics for this. And there's some news from both parties. Several polls show Nikki Haley has now overtaken Florida Governor Ron DeSantis for the second place in the New Hampshire primary. And in the latest round of fundraising, Haley also brought in more money than DeSantis. That alone should be enough to talk about. But on the Democratic side, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is now going to not run as a Democrat for the presidency, but rather as an independent. Jim, as a former state Democratic Party chairman, your view on Kennedy's decision?
It's disappointing that Robert Kennedy Jr. has taken the path that he has taken, and it's unfortunate based on the pedigree and the historical legacy of the Kennedy name that these values and positions he's taken run contrary to mainstream society and certainly contrary to the Democratic Party, i.e. the positions he's taken on vaccinations. However, having said all of that, I do not think that the Kennedy name as an independent is going to hurt the Democratic nominee as much as it's going to hurt the Republican nominee because of those very reasons. I've spoken to folks in the MAGA wing of the party about this, and as we have conversations, it comes up. They like what they're hearing from Robert Kennedy Jr., especially on vaccination issues. And I have seen some very preliminary polling that strongly suggests that if he does qualify, and he's likely to qualify for the first time we've seen an independent since Perot in '92. And I do believe, just like Perot, he will take votes away from the Republican. And early polling suggests that more folks in the Republican Party and in the Trump circles of the Republican Party are leaning more towards Robert Kennedy Jr. And therefore, I think, although he will take votes from the Dems, I think if he's on as an independent, it's going to hit the GOP harder than it's going to hit us.
I think that's a pipe dream. I think the MAGAs that are going to vote aren't going to vote for Robert Kennedy. They're going to vote for the former president. In the end, John F. Kennedy is an enormous, and his father, Robert Kennedy, were enormous players in the American stage and will be for another 100, 200 years. I mean, their influence and the mainstay of their name as Democratic in Democratic politics is something of lore in America. So I think in the end, you don't want, as an incumbent president, to have somebody with the Kennedy name, especially somebody so closely associated with those two great Americans, on the ballot for president of the United States. I mean, the last time a Democrat really contended and foiled something was when George Wallace, the governor of Alabama, cost Hubert Humphrey the presidency in 1968, because he took almost 10 million votes in 5 southern states, including Arkansas, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Mississippi, and ended up Richard Nixon ends up winning his first term with I think 0.7% of 1%. It was less than 1%. It was 43.4 to 42.7. And I only bring that close race up and that foil, that the fact that he was a foil in that race, is because just like the House of Representatives and just like the Senate and just like America, everything seems to be so almost equally divided. Everybody is winning on the margins. So the question is whether Jim's going to end up being right or I'm going to be right. I mean, where those votes go, my point will be, my larger point is, it's going to matter because it is so close that once we define what that Kennedy independent run is worth, it's going to cost one or the other the presidency.
Of course,
if you like to start your day with a good laugh, there's an article in either the Washington Post or the New York Times today about the immediate, the very sudden reversal of Donald Trump's opinion of Robert Kennedy Jr. When he was running for the Democratic, hinting that he was going to run against Joe Biden for the Democratic nomination, Trump said that he had common sense. He's a sensible guy and he has a lot of good ideas. Now he announces, yesterday, I believe, he's running as an independent. And Trump says, look, he's a nutcase. Don't pay any attention to him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So if you like to smile on your way into work, read that article. It's just delightful.
I'll make this observation. Nobody should be betting on how the election next November in 24 is going to come out and who even the candidates are going to be. It's way too early. Stacy, you started off this question talking about Nikki Haley. Keep an eye on her. I know her well. She's a hard worker. As a Republican leader, I'm looking at who presents the best opportunity to win in 24. But who are going to be the candidates? Will Mr. Trump be a candidate? What's going to be the effect of all the litigation that he's going through right now and the trials that he has? Will he even be on the ballot? If she's on the ballot, it changes everything. I said, this is, Joe and I talk about this all the time. This is 5-dimensional chess we're trying to play.
Yeah, right.
And you really can't do it. But I would say for the purpose of this, on this date, keep an eye on Nikki Haley. I think she has the opportunity to become the first nominee, if it's not Trump, the first Republican female nominee.
Nikki Haley is the one to watch. We've talked, all of us here have talked about that since the first debate. If she starts to get some momentum, look out. After that first performance, whether you agree with what she's saying or not, the performance was admittedly very impressive. And we've talked about what if she starts to get a surge, and what if she starts to overtake DeSantis? It's now happened. The pragmatic, to the extent, the folks on the debate stage who are not for Mr. Trump, who are critical of Mr. Trump, who represent, in my opinion, the moderate wing of the GOP, they will have to make decisions like the Democrats made back in February of 2020. Once Mr. Biden started to get some momentum, and there were so many in the race, they knew what was at stake, and they fell behind the front runner, and it was over within a month. If Nikki Haley continues to surge like this, and again, if I'm still state chairman, she's my biggest concern if she gets the nomination. You could see something similar play out with the other candidates in the GOP, realizing there's not a path, but realizing they want to stop Donald Trump, falling in behind Nikki Haley and forming a coalition.
All right,
We
we're out of time.
all agree that the whole debate stage for Republican is about being an alternative if Trump falters. And that position was clearly Ron DeSantis's for months and months and months. And that precious position now, it looks like it's going to be Nikki Haley's. And that is a valued gem at this point in time in the Republican sweepstakes.
All right, gentlemen, I'm sorry to cut us off, but we have to. We are now out of time. So I want to thank all of you once again for being with us, and thank you for watching. And we hope that you join us again for the next edition of Around the Table with Stacy Smith. Thanks for watching.